Oppenheimer is the 13th film from Christopher Nolan and stars Cillian Murphy as Dr. Robert Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer follows the true events of how Dr. Robert Oppenheimer created the nuclear bomb in the time period of World War II. So let's talk about Oppenheimer. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and today I'll be talking about Oppenheimer. So my initial thoughts on Oppenheimer is that this movie was pretty well made. Now Christopher Nolan has returned to make his 13th film, and for me, I've supported Christopher Nolan for pretty much his entire career. Ever since I watched The Dark Knight, I've always been on board to see what he would make next, and Oppenheimer is the next best thing. And this movie is a biopic of Dr. Robert Oppenheimer, and I think Christopher Nolan does a great job in directing and writing this film, and Cillian Murphy blows it out of the water as playing as Dr. Robert Oppenheimer. So let's dive into the review. Per usual, let's start with the story first. So Oppenheimer follows the true story of how Dr. Robert Oppenheimer created the nuclear/atomic bomb in the time period of World War II. So this movie is pretty much spliced into three sections, to where the first part is basically Oppenheimer coming up with the idea of creating this bomb. The second portion is basically creating the bomb and testing it. And the third portion is basically the aftermath of when the United States used the said bomb and how it affected Dr. Robert Oppenheimer. The story for Oppenheimer is constructed brilliantly. This is one of Christopher Nolan's best stories he's ever written. And for me, going into Oppenheimer, I was kind of worried that he would make another weird, strange story that was not easy to follow. With his last couple movies, specifically Tenet, Interstellar, Inception, and Dunkirk, there's a lot of moments within those films that make absolutely no sense, and it makes it hard for you to follow the story. So with Oppenheimer, there's none of that. This movie is pretty self-explanatory, and you can follow it from start to finish. However, there's really only one problem that I have with the story, and is that the beginning was a little slow. Once, Oppenheimer starts building the bomb, that's when this movie starts picking up. But overall, it's a very sophisticated movie written by Christopher Nolan, directed by Christopher Nolan, and the cast in this film with Cillian Murphy, Emily Blunt, Matt Damon, the list goes on, just catapults this movie into success. So overall, there's a lot of things that I truly liked, and there's some moments in this movie that just are probably Christopher Nolan's best he's ever done in regards to cinema. So I was pleasantly surprised by Oppenheimer's story. Usually this would be the section to where I talk about the entertainment value for a movie that I reviewed. So with an Oppenheimer, it's a little bit challenging because yes, Oppenheimer has entertaining moments. It's more to it than just that, as most of this film is the recapture of the historical event of how Dr. Robert Oppenheimer created the atomic bomb. There's a lot of things this movie has to do. So there's a lot of stuff to where Cillian Murphy, or as Oppenheimer, is talking to scientists and physicians and getting the idea of creating the bomb, then actually creating the bomb, testing the bomb, and then dealing with the aftermath. There's a ton of stuff that you're dealing with. So yes, is it entertaining experiencing this story? Yes, it is, but it's a very serious story that is dealing with a very serious topic that you have to take seriously. So there's moments to where are thrilling and fun to watch, but overall this movie is trying its hardest to actually recapture what happened back in the time period of World War II. So I kind of appreciate that from Christopher Nolan. He was really trying to make this movie grounded and give you the experience that you were looking for in regards to a movie about Oppenheimer creating the atomic bomb. So I was very happy with what I watched because yes, there was entertaining moments, but overall the entire story was structured and the entire movie was created to represent that historic event. Overall, Oppenheimer was an excellent film. Christopher Nolan returns to make his 13th film, and this is probably one of the better films he's ever created. Personally, I feel as if it's been a while since Christopher Nolan created a film that I truly enjoyed once the credits started to roll. It's been a while because the last couple movies I didn't really like, but this movie I definitely did appreciate and really did enjoy. The ending of this film, the last sequence of Oppenheimer, in my opinion, is probably the best thing Christopher Nolan has ever done, and it was extremely impactful for the film and overall in the history of what this movie was trying to tell. So I really do appreciate that, and the overall senses of crafting this historical event of Dr. Robert Oppenheimer was probably made as best as it possibly could have been. So I'm going to give Oppenheimer a thumbs up. Next, it's time for me to answer this question. Should you go out and see Oppenheimer? So the first thing that I want to mention, this movie is 3 hours long, so you are going to be taking a lot of time out of your day to see this movie, and is it worth it? In my opinion, if you are a fan of Christopher Nolan and if you're a fan of historical movies, then I do think this movie is worth it. It's a very thrilling and riveting story that'll keep you entertained and interested, and even though it's 3 hours, you still get your money worth, and Christopher Nolan knows what he's doing. However, I don't think you need to rush to the theater and see it. If you can't see it in theaters, no worry. You can easily wait until this movie comes out on streaming, or you can find alternative ways to watch it. So overall, should you see Oppenheimer? My answer to that question is yes. Do you have it? That's my review for Oppenheimer. If you've seen Oppenheimer, let me know your thoughts of the film down below in the comments. If you haven't seen it, let me know what your favorite Christopher Nolan film is. For me, excluding the Batman movies, the best and personal favorite would probably be The Prestige. But if you're including the Batman movies, it's definitely The Dark Knight is my favorite movie made by Christopher Nolan and the best movie he's made. And then a close second is Batman Begins. So that'll do it for this video. If you like this video, make sure you click that like button and consider watching another video on my channel. And if you like the content I do here on this channel, make sure you're subscribed. That way I can see you next time. Till then, God bless and take care. Peace.